My wife passed away just before last Thanksgiving. It came out of nowhere, and I'm somewhat broken. To make things worse, my stepkids have decided that since I'm not their father, they don't have to obey me anymore. They're teens and they've never been my biggest fans. They love their dad and I was only ever their mom's husband. However, when Dina was alive, they treated our home well and me respectfully. After she died, they became idiots. Yes, I know their mom died. It sucks. But that was my wife and the mother of my children. I'm also having a tough time dealing with it. Their paternal grandparents are also crapping on me for not being more understanding of all they're going through. I've tried. I've offered them counseling. I've given them space. I have been there for them. I'm at my wit's end. The last straw was when we were over there for supper last week. I said it was time to go so I could get the littles to bed. My stepkids said they didn't want to go and that I should leave them and return for them. It's a 2-hour drive. I said no. Their grandparents said I was being too hard on them and that I should let them stay. I'm having a hard time with 2 small children, the loss of my wife, and 2 teen idiots without having my in-laws pile on and make my life more difficult. So I did. I also packed up their stuff. Instead of coming back for them, I dropped off their stuff at their grandparents' house. I have 2 preschool kids to take care of. I don't really have time to baby 2 teens that are just making my life harder. My house is clean for the first time in weeks. My kids are sleeping through the night. My stepkids would love to live with their uncle in the same city as me so they can finish high school with their friends. Everyone on their dad's side is against me. I don't care. I was told by both of them and by their father that I'm not to try to parent them, so I'm not. I actually do not have any parental rights over them. Their dad was not okay with me being a contact for them at school, so his parents bear the contact. Their father works at a FIFO camp. He has no permanent home. He doesn't pay child support. My wife left behind a small life insurance policy, which I will divide between the 4 kids, but I was the breadwinner in my house. I bought pretty much everything there for the last 8 years, so now it's all mine. My in-laws are calling me an idiot for abandoning the kids, but I have 2 kids that need me more. The older 2 have a dad and grandparents to help them. My kids do too, I guess, but they also have me, and I want them to have a peaceful home. So, am I the idiot for dropping off my stepkids with my in-laws and saying that they're not my problem anymore? Hang on. This man doesn't even pay child support? Does his family know this is the case? Has anyone from Bio Dad's side contributed anything to these kids? Or are they just crapping on you instead? Not the idiot. If what you say is true, and you've done everything in your power to help them grieve and transition going forward without their mom, then what else can you do? If their father wasn't willing to step up right away, then that says a lot about the dad and the in-laws. In my opinion, wash your hands of that family, as they'll only try to harm you going forward. Their father has no permanent home. Well, he needs to step up and get that changed. It sucks for him, but not really OP's problem. The father even said OP must not parent them, but at the same time doesn't want to step up. His ego doesn't want to be hurt by having someone else be a good father. So all OP can be is an unpaid babysitter or nanny and a wallet to boot. Heck no. Ah, the life of a step-parent. You provide, babysit, drive around, clean and cook, but heaven forbid you want to have a say in anything or parent a stepchild. OP is not the idiot to drop them off. Why are they in his house if he's not to be their parent? If OP has no parental rights with these teens, then he has 0 parental responsibility, and arrangements should be made within a month of their mom dying to get the kids out of OP's house. It's abundantly clear OP is only tolerated as a resource rather than as a grieving person. Dude, you did nothing wrong. Don't let these people make your life more miserable than it is. Stay strong and focused on what is best for you and your children. My husband, 26, and I, 25 female, have been married for 1.5 years, have been together for 9, and our son is an infant. My in-laws live about an hour away in the town where we grew up. With my husband's siblings all moved out now, the house is too much space for my father-in-law and mother-in-law by themselves. So they're looking to move and have implied to my husband that they would like to live with us. He's the only son out of 5 kids, and in our culture, parents often live with their son's family, and he wants to abide by that, and he's mentioned it to me. I'm conflicted, and I've told my husband everything, so he knows my feelings about the topic. On the one hand, I would really love it. My mother recently passed, so it's been tough, and with the baby, I could really use their support. I have a few short-term health things resulting from complications during my son's birth as well. We have the space. That wouldn't be an issue. The problem is my sister-in-law, 29, her parents' favorite. They dote on her often and can sometimes be blind to her faults. She often goes to stay with them for months on end. She just left after 6 months, when her marriage is on the rocks, until she and her husband work it out. I know that if my in-laws moved in with us, they'd always have her around, especially as she frequently tells my husband how much she loves our place. I wouldn't mind it, but she's always been rather antagonistic and jealous towards me, only conveniently nice when she needs money or babysits for my nieces, toddler and kindergartner. I do feel bad, but I'm tired of her hostility and don't think I can handle her presence around the house, especially while dealing with my grief and taking care of my son. Yesterday, we were at my in-laws' place and the topic came up. I said, it'd be great, but not if you brought sister-in-law along, and tried to tactfully explain what I said above. They weren't exactly mad, but disappointed, saying that she had a lot of difficulties in life and that we should support her. I asked if they wouldn't live with us if she couldn't come stay for long periods. They said yes, they'd consider alternate arrangements, even though they'd prefer living with us. This was a deal breaker. My husband was silent throughout this whole thing, and my in-laws were pretty cold the rest of our time there too. When we got home, my husband was upset, saying that he didn't want to start a fight in front of them, but that the thing with his sister was a bridge we could have crossed later. He was like, is it really that big of a deal? To which I said, to me, yes. Since then, he seemed a bit distant, and I don't know what to do about it. My sister-in-law has also contacted me, calling me names and saying that she's glad that her parents wouldn't be living with such a self-righteous witch. Didn't change my opinion of her, but seeing how hurt my husband and his parents are, I'm wondering if maybe I am the idiot here for not at least agreeing just to keep the peace. Dear Lord, not the idiot. You married and made a commitment to him, not his parents and certainly not his older sister, who can look after herself. Is he okay with all of his family moving in? And what about your needs? Was this spoken about and agreed upon by both of you before saying your wedding vows? Was it decided that you chose to take on his parents and adult siblings by marrying him? That bridge is never going to be crossed. It's apparent your husband was hoping you'd come around to this arrangement. What exactly is he angry about? That you were clear you weren't going to house his sister? It's better to start out as you mean to go on. That is absolutely a massive imposition on you and highly disrespectful, given you've just lost your own mother. The sister sounds like a nightmare, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is your house and your family. You get to be respected in your own home. And where does a 29-year-old fully grown woman get off thinking you'd house her and her kids? No thanks. And this is a hill to die on. Also, I'd be forwarding her lovely message to you, to her parents, to explain why you don't want her to live with you. My wife and I are having our first kid soon and know it's going to be a boy. It's been hard to agree on a name. She is steadfast in picking a name that we both agree on, but we pretty much have opposite taste. I have a very, very basic and common first name, which I like, so I gravitate towards simple and classic names like James, William, and Daniel. She likes not that. She suggested Dean the other day, and I was considering it until I found out she picked it because it was the name of her teen TV crush. She dug her heels and insisted that she just liked the name and wasn't going to name her kid after the character, and watching an old episode of the show reminded her of the name. I'm like, that is exactly what naming your kid after a TV character means. So I said, how about this? I will give you a preemptive blanket veto on TV show names. I want to avoid hearing suggestions for Little Zuko or Sherlock or anything like that, and any other name is on the table. Is that fair? And she said, no, that's not fair, and I'm being an idiot and putting words in her mouth. My position is that if you try to pick a TV name for your kid, at least own up to it and admit it's a TV name. I'm more annoyed at the transparent denial at this point than the fact that she suggested it in the first place. Am I the idiot for putting a blanket veto on all TV show names for our son? James and his giant peach, William, Willy Wonka, and Daniel, Danny Turner, would all tell you how stupid this idea is, and those are just the first few I thought of off the top of my head. Can you name a name that hasn't been used in TV or movies? Dude, you are the idiot. Grow up, OP. What really bothers me is how mean the OP was to his wife. He acts like she's stupid for distinguishing between being inspired by something and actively naming the kid after that thing, and then laying into her. Dean is such a normal name, and OP was so rude about it. Like, OP's wife is the one who's supposed to be having weird hormonal swings, not OP. I'd be so embarrassed if I was OP's wife. I mean, if this is how you're acting before the baby's born, good luck. The irony of how childish it is to be fighting and blanket vetoing names from TV, which, P.S., good luck finding a name that hasn't been used on TV. It's time to put your adult pants on and sit down and talk about it. Look for names together. Plenty of lists are floating around based on themes, meanings, colors, or mythical gods, unless all of those are blanket vetoed too. My wife, Sarah, 28, and I, male 30, have been married for 5 years. She's incredible, loving, and my favorite person in the world. Now, my entire family has a tradition of learning and speaking French. It's always been a fun way for us to bond. However, for Sarah, it's been a challenge. Sarah's tried for years to pick up the language, but due to her dyslexia, she found it extremely difficult. It's been a great source of frustration and insecurity for her, especially when we're around my family who like to speak French with each other. My niece, nearly adult, Eva, is staying with us for a while. She speaks English and French too, and understandably speaks a lot of French around the house. While I understand it's just normal for her, it's been a bit upsetting for Sarah. She feels excluded from our conversations, and she started trying to brush up on it, but it's just stressing her out and hitting a nerve. Given the situation, I approached Eva and asked if she could try to speak more English around my wife. I explained that it wasn't about controlling her choices, but helping Sarah feel more comfortable and included in the conversations. Unfortunately, Eva didn't take it well. She accused me of prioritizing Sarah's difficulties over her comfort. She claimed that I was asking her to suppress her identity. I'm not sure if I handled it the right way. Am I the idiot for asking Eva to stop speaking French around Sarah? Edit. My wife and I live a few hours away from the rest of our family. Eve has just moved in with us for work opportunities. French is just a tradition everyone sort of learns from birth. We're Australian, and speaking French is just for fun in the family. My grandparents learned French and then passed it on to my mom and her siblings, then myself, my siblings and cousins, and now all their kids. Info. In what way is speaking French a part of Eva's identity? Is your family actually French? Or have you just been taking a lot of French courses over the years? We're Australian. Speaking French is just for fun. The niece is the idiot. Exactly. Your niece is deliberately inconsiderate by excluding your wife in a language your wife struggles with. You should have a conversation with your niece about being welcome in your home, and you would hate to see that welcome compromised by her insistence on making your wife uncomfortable. Reminder, she's a guest of you and your wife, and a guest is only welcome till they cause a problem for the host. She needs to understand that being a guest means making sure that her presence isn't a burden on her host, and you wouldn't like to see her needing to find a different accommodation. Tell her you will always prioritize your wife, and her comfort will never come first. Speaking French is optional, and to her comfort as she can converse in English easily, but your wife can't easily converse in French. There's only one flaw with your strategy. She's a nearly grown woman. If she was capable of understanding what you're telling OP to explain, she probably wouldn't need that in-depth explanation to start. It sounds more like she's just a brat who doesn't like being told what to do. Just have to hope she outgrows it. I have a daughter, tween, Brooke, from a previous relationship. Unfortunately, my wife passed away a few days after Brooke was born due to complications from the emergency C-section. I've always wanted Brooke to have a woman in her life, so my sister's always helped. She's the closest thing Brooke has to a mom. 3 years ago, my sister moved about 6 hours away from us. Since then, she's been flying Brooke out at least one weekend a month and getting her on school breaks. Brooke loves visiting her aunt and views her house as a second home. It helps that Brooke has her room there. Now I'm engaged to Kelly, and Kelly has 3 other kids: Olivia, tween, Maddie, younger tween, and Luca, pre-tween. Kelly's kids have always been jealous of Brooke getting to visit her aunt because of all the fun stuff they do together. They have passes to Disneyland and Universal Studios. My sister lives on the beach, so they're always at the beach. They go shopping, hiking, and horseback riding. She even taught Brooke how to drive, boat and golf cart. No car yet. I've asked Brooke to only talk about it in private, but tensions are rising between her and her step-siblings, so she's been rubbing it in to make them angry. Now my stepkids want to go with Brooke to visit my sister, but I'm saying no. My sister's basically Brooke's mom, but they have both a mom and a dad. Plus, I don't think my sister would like to have 3 extra kids in her house every time she wants to see the kids she helped raise. Kelly and her kids are saying this is unfair and favoritism, and that if Brooke gets to go, so should they. But Brooke doesn't want to let them go and says if I try to make her take them with her, she'll move in with her aunt and won't come back. Am I the idiot for not sending my stepkids with Brooke to visit my sister? Not the idiot. Ask Kelly if it's fair that your daughter has lost her mother and her kids still have theirs. Your sister's already an angel for everything she did for you and your daughter. Don't let your fiancé destroy everything because she's selfish. Does she treat your daughter the same as her kids? Does the kid's father bring gifts and treat her the same as his child? I doubt it. Don't be a doormat. Your daughter's already suffered a lot. She does not need Cinderella's stepmother at home. You're engaged to a woman, your kids don't get along, and your fiancé is trying to involve her kids in your daughter's life. You do know it's possible to be a couple living separately with each of your families if you value your relationship with your daughter. Or do you have to blend and make one big happy family? Why can't you two wait until the kids are out of the house and then decide to be together? Yeah, I don't get these relationships at all. It's already a disaster. You are the idiot for letting your fiancé support her children in this entitled and unreasonable demand. You should set very clear boundaries with her, including that she makes it very clear to her children that they will not go on these trips or are entitled to. If she doesn't agree, stop the wedding.